So, what is Fingers and Fringe?
So Fingers and Fringe is a production company. Essentially, at the heart of it, that is what it is. But over time, it's grown. So we work mainly in comedy as well. So we produce comedy content for TV, radio, online as well. Live comedy as well is something we've started doing a lot more recently. But yeah, so we've become a bit more of a multi-platform company now. So we work, like Matty said, in live events, online and radio mainly, but we're looking into doing more in TV as well. In a nutshell, that is what we do. We work for clients as well, but it's more these days more for ourselves, and our only clients are really within comedy.
So, how did you start in the media industry?
You go first,
Okay.
because mine's more interesting.
So, I joined Hospital Radio in Bishop Auckland and then worked in that for a little bit. Reached out to the boss of Metro Radio, who was the guy who was the boss at the time. Had a meet with him, say that I want to be in radio. I wanted to be a presenter at this time though. I'm not really in that now. But and I just got opportunities through that because I never left. I did work experience at Metro and I just sort of managed to cling on until they gave me a job, and I worked on Saturday breakfast for a while as like a tech op kind of thing. And then I got a job as an assistant producer on Night Owls, and I worked on Night Owls for about 4 years. And then that was the bulk of my media work, and then met Matty, and then we decided to set up Fingers and Fringe.
Show how we bonded.
We bonded over Take That's music, over the music of Take That, and over time we built the business, we started it, and it's what we do now. That is, it's still within comedy because comedy is our passion. That's what we do.
For me, I think it was at school. I was in about year 11. There were talks about there being a school radio station. I was like, I'm getting in on that. So became heavily involved, became station manager, bought a lot of the equipment and just created this nice little place that people could go to and just do radio really. And then from that moment on it was like, right, I want to do media. So went to uni, started doing radio. At the time, my sister got a part in the dumping ground, name drop, Floss. So that opened a lot of doors to TV. I'd only just done radio, and that gave me the opportunity to do TV. So I worked on that for a bit. Met Luke at uni, realised that we had a lot in common, like humour-wise. And then obviously we did our dissertation together, where we wrote, filmed a sitcom in its entirety, which I wouldn't recommend. I think we were in Metro Radio. What time did we get out?
About 4.
4 in the morning. Don't do that. But yeah, and then from there we were like, this is great. We work well together. We have the same skill sets. Where I don't have those skills, Luke does, and where Luke doesn't have those skills that I do, and we just gelled really well, and that was like the start of Fingers and Fringe. And we've been together ever since.
We have, and now we've got commissions
Yeah.
as well, and 2 national radio commissions that we've just achieved within comedy, and we're doing a few other little shows like next year off the back of a pilot we did this year. We're going to be doing a show with Ainsley Harriott. We did a pilot with him last June, and we're doing that as an actual show at some point next year. We just don't know exactly when. And then Merlin from
First Dates.
From First Dates. If anyone at home watches First Dates, but Merlin the barman, I'm doing a show with him.
Yeah, and then from there we just started working and blending loads of ideas together.
So have you got any advice on how to get work experience?
So networking is key in any industry, especially like this one, and it is about who you know really, to be honest. It's one of those kinds of industries. You've just got to understand that when you're reaching out to the big bosses of companies for work experience, they actually quite like it. They're not going to be annoyed. And at the end of the day, what's the worst that can happen? They just won't reply to your email anyway, so you're not really getting anything out of it. So email the person who runs the North East BBC or Metro Radio or any media. Just email the bosses, and then they'll either hand you over to someone else or bring you in. And like I say, the worst thing that can is they just won't reply. Yeah, it is harder in the North East to get work experience, but that's sort of what's been a big thing for Fingers and Fringe. As we get busier as a business, we want people to come and work with us to help us essentially manage the workload, because essentially it's just 2 people at the moment and we get quite busy. We want to be able to just, you know, oversee things and have people looking after projects with and for us. So there's opportunities through us as well. This industry is about creating your own opportunities and not waiting for them to come to you, because they won't just come to you. You've got to go out and get them. Because if there's 2 people going for an interview for a job as a producer and the executive producer knows one of them already, that person's got the job. So you've just got to get out there.
But that's the reason why we created Fingers and Fringe, because we graduated and we were like, there's no media jobs. Let's do it ourselves. So we did. But then when we were getting people to work with us, when we were at uni, yes, there were some opportunities, but there weren't absolutely loads. So when we, for example, when we did the Ainsley thing, we both said we need students. No one was getting paid. Ainsley wasn't even getting paid. So we were like, let's just use students and give them this opportunity. And the students we chose were absolutely amazing. We still work with them now, apart from one who's in Australia, unfortunately. But they shined on the Ainsley project, so we got a paid ITV gig to make an advert. So we put them on there. So it was like, sorry, we can't pay you for that, but as soon as we can, we'll put you on a paid gig. And that's what we did.
And that is what we want. We want to create more opportunities for people. Like I say, as we get busier, we will need it as well.
Have you got any advice on making connections at networking events, or any tips for sort of where to look or who to ask? Or?
Talk to anyone and everyone. I went to a networking event when I was at uni a few years ago. It was in Salford, at Salford Uni, and there was a networking event, and there was I think it was the producer of Mastermind, and everyone was crowded round him and just trying to talk to him, when there were other little producers all around. No one was talking to them, because they think that because they're not the producer of Mastermind, they think that they're like disposable, like we don't need to talk to them. But literally, like Luke said before, email anyone they want. It's so easy to find someone's LinkedIn. A lot of people don't like LinkedIn, but it's perfect to find names. Once you found the name, you found the email address. Because BBC, it's first name dot last name at bbc.co.uk. Same with Netflix.
Also, something worth thinking about as well, if you go to like a conference or something, or a networking event where there's speakers, find out who the speakers are, email them before the event, and then if you have arranged to meet up, they'll be waiting for you. So then it's sort of like an easier way in. So say you've gone to an event in Manchester and there's a TV producer there who's doing a talk about TV, and you want to meet up with them because you want opportunities from them. Email them before the event, tell them who you are, so you'd love to have a chat, and then they'll say, oh, and mention that the event and say, oh, I'm going to this event as well, I'd love to meet you when I'm there, and then they might just say, yeah, no worries. Then you approach them and say, we emailed, and then they go, oh yeah, how are you? It's an easier way in than just going cold to them, because sometimes that can make people feel a bit awkward.
And if you don't do that, make sure you grab them at the end. Grab them at the end and say, really enjoyed your talk, can I have your email address?
Yeah.
And then after, just write, loved your talk. I'd love to do some work experience at some point. But the other thing with it as well, when you're emailing people, be willing to travel. So a few times a year, me and Luke just go to London for a day. We get up at like 5 in the morning, get the 6 o'clock train, and get the 7 o'clock train in the evening back, and just cram in as many meetings with people as we can.
We've done the same way. We've driven to Manchester. We drove to Rugby.
Yeah.
You've got to travel to make your own opportunities.
And you can meet anyone. Like in one time we met Amazon, Comedy Central,
BBC
Music. So you can literally just find their email and say, can I have a word with them? And what we did was, we didn't go to them with ideas. We said, we're a production company, this is what we do. what are you looking for now? What is your brief? What can we make you? And it's come out on top.
But it's better if you go with like, so they just spend time telling you what they want. Like we got an email the other day from Amazon Prime telling us what they're looking for, because we put a few ideas forward which weren't necessarily correct, but because we built up that relationship, they then said, well, this is what we're looking for. So then we can go away and go, right, well, we'll come up with an idea.
Or adapt one of our ideas to them.